The Moral Ambiguity of Izuku Midoriya. Written by Kerosene Insomniac and read for you by Eleanor Elizabeth. Summary. This Izuku, he's different. Izuku is bound to a chair, grinning maniacally at whoever took the picture. This Izuku has shorter hair and an undercut, making his features look more sharp and angular. A large scar was stretched tight over his right eye, which was cloudy and clearly blind. He's dressed in a three-piece suit, but the white collar had speckles of blood staining the fabric. Izuku looks unhinged and crazed, baring his teeth for the camera. Or, after being caught in a quirk accident, Izuku swaps places with an alternate version of himself. This version, however, is a bloodthirsty villain with a deep hatred for heroes. Katsuki is forced to deal with the aftermath. On some level, Katsuki isn't even surprised. Today is Monday. School started as usual and everyone seemed to be in high spirits. Some students went to their internships and others just went to class. Things were blissfully normal, so Katsuki should have known that everything was about to go wrong. Aizawa is late and stupid Deku is nowhere in sight. This could mean a bunch of things, but only one scenario made sense. Deku, like the stupid little trouble magnet he is, was likely involved in some kind of situation. It could have been a quirk incident, or the dumbass nearly killed himself trying to save someone. Again, everyone could sense the impending doom, but then again, everyone hoped they were wrong, that maybe Deku didn't do something stupid. The look in Aizawa's face said otherwise. The tired teacher looked exhausted and stressed, at least more so than normal. His hair was also tied back, which is even more of a warning sign. Aizawa's eyes flickered to Katsuki before eyeing the entire class. This morning, Midoriya was involved in a quirk accident. A child with a multiverse quirk accidentally activated it on Midoriya, which is why he's currently absent. Katsuki's skin crawled as the class burst into chaos. Is he okay? Only Midoriya manages to attract trouble this early in the morning. Where did he teleport? As the class dissolved into chaos, Katsuki felt like he was drowning. The war ended over a year ago, but the idea of Izuku disappearing again made his stomach churn. The nerd is a fucking trouble magnet, and Katsuki can't trust him not to get hurt. Despite the yelling around him, Katsuki's voice rang out and silenced everyone. Where the fuck is he at then? Aizawa blinked, far too tired to berate the teenager for cursing. At this point, he's far too used to Katsuki's foul language. He's in another reality for 3 days. Katsuki's palms sparked. He's what? The teacher sighed, pinched the bridge of his nose, and the class devolved into chaos again. Katsuki didn't even have time to feel sorry for the man either. Izuku is out there, somewhere, and probably making stupid-ass decisions. He's not here. Fuck, he vanished again. Katsuki clutched the desk so hard his knuckles were white. That fucking nerd, I'm gonna kick his... Bakugo. Aizawa spoke evenly, interrupting the teen. The blonde stilled, clenching his jaw as he locked eyes with Aizawa. The older hero looked tired and stressed, at least significantly more than normal. Is this the part where you tell me not to go look for him? Aizawa sighed. This is the part where I tell you that you don't have to. When Midoriya was teleported, he switched places with his alternate self. Oh. Where is he then? The teacher's mouth twitched. He's currently with Recovery Girl. We had to physically restrain and sedate him, so Midoriya will not be attending class for the next few days. Katsuki huffed. Sedate him? You sedated him? Aizawa rubbed his temple as Katsuki's voice echoed off the walls in the classroom. This version of Midoriya is considered highly dangerous, Bakugo. Until we figure out a plan, nobody is allowed to visit him. The blonde teen scoffed, crossing his arms. Dangerous? Bullshit! Bakugo, you cannot speak to a superior that way! Four Eyes bellowed, earning a scowl from Katsuki. Katsuki scoffed. Their teacher, however, didn't look bothered by Katsuki's words. Instead, Aizawa sighed and placed a file on his podium. It looked brand new and thin, probably made on short notice. I figured you'd react this way, so let me explain. The overhead projector flipped on, making the class break into chatter. Ida, turn off the lights. After a few seconds, the lights in the classroom dimmed. Katsuki sat up in his seat, watching as Aizawa pulled things out of the file. The teacher looked tired and stoic. which wasn't unusual, but it seems worse than normal. Fucking Deku, always worries everybody, inconsiderate bastard. Then, a familiar face appeared on the projector. However, the chattering class fell silent as shock and horror set in. Even Katsuki froze, clenching his jaw as the familiar Viridian eyes stared back at them. This Izuku. He's different. Izuku was bound to a chair, grinning maniacally at whoever took the picture. This Izuku had shorter hair and an undercut, making his features look more sharp and angular. A large scar was stretched tight over his right eye, which was cloudy and clearly blind. He was dressed in a three-piece suit, but the white collar had speckles of blood staining the fabric. Izuku looks unhinged and crazed, baring his teeth for the camera. Aizawa's eyes flicked around the classroom. This version of Midoriya is a villain in his reality. After the quirk activated and they switched, this Midoriya immediately attacked and injured Hawks, who was on patrol at the time. What the fuck? Loud chatter echoed throughout the classroom again, while Katsuki felt frozen in his seat. He can't imagine Izuku ever attacking a pro. So what the fuck is this idiot's deal? He attacked Hawks? He looks scary. Are we sure that's Deku? Midoriya wouldn't do that, Ribbit. Aizawa sighed, switching the photo with another one. Keep in mind that this version of Midoriya is nothing like the one we know. He's angry and highly dangerous, which is why nobody is allowed to go near him for the time being. At that, Katsuki snorted, like that's gonna stop me. The tired pro shot Katsuki a pointed glance before looking round again. However, there is a reason I'm telling you this. In the event of Midoriya possibly getting loose, Nezu has requested I tell you about his abilities, for strategy purposes. Katsuki's head snapped up. Abilities? If he doesn't have one for all, how the fuck did he get a... He stopped. Oh. Aizawa blinked, watching as realization hit Katsuki like a freight train. From what we can tell, this version of Midoriya has no quirk. However, that does not mean he is not dangerous. The blonde flinched. Their teacher sighed and switched out the photos, replacing not Deku with a picture of Hawks. Shocked gasps spread throughout the room, and Katsuki's stomach churned with nausea. These are the wounds he inflicted on Hawks, using knives and a gun. Luckily, Recovery Girl was able to heal most of them. Hawks is sporting hefty bruises and a number of cuts to his face and neck. His side is bleeding from what looks like a gunshot wound, but Katsuki can't be sure. Fuck, what kind of monster did this Deku become? Due to this situation, you have all been granted a day off of classes. Head to the dorms and don't make me regret it. With that, the projector flickered off and the lights turned on. Katsuki couldn't move from his seat, but everyone else shuffled to their feet. Kirishima and Ashido appeared next to him, but the blonde couldn't do much of anything. His fucking boyfriend is missing and replaced by an imposter. Fuck! Bro, Bakugo! Katsuki snapped out of his daze, scowling as he looked at Kirishima. What the fuck do you want, shitty hair? The redhead blinked, clearly unaffected by Katsuki's harsh tone. Next to him, even Ashido looked sympathetic. We're just checking on you, bro. Last time Midoriya went missing, you didn't take it very well. Ashido hummed in agreement. Katsuki huffed, forcing his heavy limbs to move out of his seat. I'm fine. Why the fuck should I care about a villain imposter? Kirishima pursed his lips. Maybe because he's your boyfriend? Fuck that shit! That villain isn't Deku! He's not! Before Kirishima could respond, Aizawa appeared behind them. Katsuki stilled, focusing on his teacher. However, the pro-hero looked so much more serious than he had before. Kirishima, Ashido, you're dismissed. I need to speak with Bakugo. Alone. Katsuki's eyes narrowed as his friends shot him confused glances. After a few moments, Kirishima nodded and gently gripped Ashido's hand. Gotcha, Teach. We're leaving. The pair vanished out of the door as Kirishima dragged Ashido. Katsuki watched before focusing on his teacher. Aizawa looked pale and exhausted, but the blonde could make out a faint pattern of bruises on his neck. Damn, Deku even got to Aizawa. Katsuki swallowed, tearing his eyes away from the bruises. It's about Deku, right? There's something you didn't share with the class? Aizawa clenched his jaw. Since his capture this morning, Midoriya has refused to talk. So? The black-haired man sighed, rubbing his temples as if he had a huge migraine. At this point, he probably did. Midoriya broke his silent pact 30 minutes ago. He agreed to behave on one condition. Katsuki narrowed his eyes. What condition? Aizawa's eyes clenched shut. Midoriya requested to see you. I'm not sure why, but he's hell-bent on seeing you. Oh. The blonde teen fell silent, processing the information. A part of him wants to say no, especially after seeing how bad Deku injured Hawks. Not that he's scared. Deku couldn't beat him if he tried. A villain is a villain, and Deku is clearly unhinged. Another part of him, however, wants to see this version of Deku. This Deku makes Katsuki uncomfortable as guilt blooms in his chest. Something about the villain isn't right, and a large part of him wants to figure it out. Besides, Katsuki knows Aizawa wouldn't let him get hurt. Take me to him. Let's not keep the bastard waiting. Katsuki isn't sure what he was expecting. As they walked towards Recovery Girl's office, Aizawa filled him in on the usual instructions. Be careful when exchanging information, and leave at the first sign of danger. He also feels the need to remind Katsuki not to let the bastard free. Why the fuck would he do something like that? Recovery Girl's office is in sight now. The old woman is speaking with Nezu, who is sporting a strangely serious expression. Hawks and Mirako, who must have assisted with Deku's capture, are standing guard at the door. Damn, that's a lot of security for a nerd. Before Katsuki can comment on anything, all 4 pairs of eyes flicker to him. Mirako shoots him a nod, while Hawks is strangely quiet and gives him a thumbs up. Nezu, however, beams. Bakugo! I'm so glad you agreed to this. Katsuki stops in front of the rat, shifting his weight as his hands are clenched into fists. He feels uneasy and uncomfortable, especially with how quiet everyone is. Just let me see the bastard. I don't want to be here longer than necessary. The rat hummed, nodding. Of course, this is a peculiar situation, but we would hate for this version of Midoriya to escape to the streets. Right. He'd probably kill someone. Next to him, Aizawa sighs. Let's just get this over with, Nezu. Yes, almost like ripping off a band-aid. A few seconds of tense silence passed before Nezu moved and beckoned Katsuki forward. The blonde took a shaky breath and moved forward, his limbs feeling like lead. Unfortunately, not Deku requested privacy, so the pro will be just outside. Besides, Deku is being restrained by the best shit possible. Katsuki has no reason to feel nervous, so why does he feel like he's about to throw up? It's just a whacked-up version of Deku, after all. As he steps inside, Katsuki feels like he's just been slapped. Not Deku is strapped to a cot with restraints in Aizawa's capture weapon, staring boredly out of the window. Now that he's up close, Katsuki could see more scars stretched across his face, making him look horribly disfigured. He's still dressed in the suit, but Not Deku is also sporting more bloodstains than in the picture. Now Katsuki could make out an empty utility belt and a vacant gun holster. As Katsuki steps closer, Izuku's single green eye flickers to him. Fuck. Not Izuku's face lit up as a wide grin stuffed at his lips. It's not the sunshine smile that Katsuki loves so much. It's so much more feral. Ka-chan, I can't believe you actually came to visit me, especially considering the circumstances. Katsuki swallows thickly, clenching his jaw. Don't call me that bastard! The other teen pouted, almost as if he was hurt. Aw, why not? I've been waiting so long to see you, Ka-chan. It's been years. Years? Before Katsuki could ask what the fuck that meant, Not Deku bursts into a fit of laughter. It's dry and unsettling, sending chills down the blonde's spine. He looked and sounded like a proper villain, if not worse. Katsuki grits his teeth, glaring at the freckled villain. What do you want, bastard? Doubt that you wanted me here to exchange fucking pleasantries. Izuku stilled, his green eye gleaming as he looked up at the blonde. He licked his lips, scanning Katsuki's body before locking eyes again. You've always been so smart, Ka-chan. Pretty, too. Almost makes me want to keep you for myself. Huh? The blonde scowled. What the fuck? I bet you'd make a good pet, and I'd keep you safe. Katsuki's hands clenched into fists as his palms popped. This Not Deku was batshit crazy and spewing absolute nonsense. Stop toying with me, bastard. What the fuck do you want from me, huh? At that, Not Deku giggled. Isn't it obvious, Ka-chan? The blonde glared. It's clearly not, you smug fuck. Start talking, or I'm leaving this room right now and not returning till my Deku is back. The words hung in the air as Not Deku visibly stiffened. Not Deku's demeanour completely changed as his eyes hardened. A scowl twisted on his lips, sending terrified chills down Katsuki's spine. He looked livid at the mention of Izuku. You're Deku, huh? How cute. Katsuki clenched his jaw, saying nothing. The freckled teen pulled at his restraints, his eye gleaming with malice as he looked up at Katsuki. Even now, I'm still not good enough? I just never imagined I'd have to compete against myself. Then he grinned maliciously. I should just kill him. Then I could take you home with me, Kachan. Katsuki snarled at that, fighting the urge to explode this motherfucker sky high. Shut the fuck up, bastard, before I do something I regret. Not Deku cocked his head like a puppy. I forgot how cute you were, Kachan. Were. Why the fuck did he use past tense? Katsuki's eyes snapped to Not Deku's face as dread filled his chest. He's confused and intrigued at the same time, but he doesn't want this villain to know. What the hell are you talking about? Did I drop your evil ass in your universe? Not Deku stilled as a multitude of emotions flashed across his face. No, I wish it were that simple. Then what, huh? The freckled teen hummed, allowing his face to go blank. A sad smile tugged at his lips and his eyes glazed over. Because, in my universe, you died during the sludge villain incident. I couldn't get to you in time. Oh, fuck. Before Katsuki could speak, Not Deku laughed again. I avenged you properly, Kachan, so don't worry. I made all those heroes pay for what they did. Katsuki felt like he was going to be sick. Not Deku kept laughing maniacally, almost as if he was overjoyed just to talk about it. Meanwhile, Katsuki is having flashback to the incident as a whole. It was surprisingly easy to kill heroes, you know. I spent so much time studying them, I knew all of their weaknesses. The blonde felt lightheaded. Stop it! However, Izuku kept on talking. I took out the little ones first. You should have heard their screams, Kachan. It was beautiful. He killed them. Katsuki's stomach churned as he focused on Not Deku. Why the fuck would you kill them? Not Deku hummed, pouting like a child. Then he grinned, baring his teeth at the blonde. To avenge you, of course. I had to make them pay, silly. A beat of silence passed, then Not Deku spoke again. All Might was my favourite, though. He practically begged me to slit his throat. And just like that, Katsuki's world came to a standstill. This isn't Deku. Despite being the same person, this Deku is a fucking monster through and through. Not even therapy could save this bastard. Katsuki took a step back. His palms grew hot. Not Deku noticed, cocking his head again. Am I scaring you? I'm sorry, Kachan. But I would never hurt you. Ever. I love you. I'm gonna be sick. Before Not Deku could talk any more, Katsuki spun on his heel and stormed out of the office. He felt sick and disgusted as tears flowed down his face. He staggered out of the office, his knees buckling beneath him. Aizawa caught him, holding the blonde upright. I think that's enough for today. We'll keep you two separated until the real Midoriya returns. Katsuki said nothing, unable to rid his mind of the new revelations. He wants Izuku back. Katsuki wants the freckled nerd who trained with him, the one who insisted on bringing him flowers on every date, the one who baked sweets when he stressed. He wants his Deku back, not that imposter. As Aizawa led him out of the building and towards the dorms, Katsuki couldn't help but feel dazed and confused. Yet, he still said nothing. Even as he staggered inside the dorms and his classmates surrounded him, Katsuki said nothing. He barely heard Aizawa order his classmates to leave him be. He barely heard Kirishima and his band of idiots trying to talk to him. All Katsuki could think about was a bunch of what-ifs. If the sludge villain had ended differently, would that really have been enough to tip Izuku over the edge? Out of all the shit he went through, it took Katsuki's death to ruin him completely. His death turned Not Deku into a bloodthirsty monster. Katsuki numbly shuffled inside his dorm and locked the door before collapsing onto his bed. It felt empty and lonely without Izuku. Since the war ended, Izuku and Katsuki were both plagued with nightmares. Even before they started dating, they started a habit of sharing a bed to cope. Katsuki would dream of losing the nerd, while Izuku dreamed of everyone dying. Without Izuku, Katsuki wasn't sure of what to do. The 3 days passed painfully slowly. Katsuki never left his room. He ignored all of his classmates' attempts to talk, or hell, even feed him. He didn't have the strength to leave his bed. Talking to not Deku had fucked with his head, which he hates to his very core. He doesn't like crying. He never has. But with Izuku being gone, it feels like the war all over again. The freckled idiot is gone and Katsuki isn't there to help him out of trouble. Katsuki isn't there to keep him safe. The night before the 4th day, Katsuki couldn't sleep. Izuku is coming home tomorrow, and he'd never have to see that crazy fuckwad again. He'd have his nerd back, all sunshine with rainbows shooting out of his arse. Rationally, the blonde knows that he shouldn't have skipped his classes, but Katsuki couldn't sit there without Izuku behind him, especially after the not Deku incident. Katsuki just wants things to be normal again. When morning comes, Katsuki can't even bring himself to get out of bed. He should probably shower and put on clean clothes, but his bed feels so much more comfortable. After all, it's unlikely that Izuku is back right away. He can shower later. Right now, he just wants to sleep. Katsuki holds the pillow to his chest, breathing in the remnants of Izuku's apple shampoo. He's being a pathetic sap right now, but he can't bring himself to care. As he drifts into sleep, Katsuki is greeted by flashes of memories. He sees the river, the sludge villain, even Ground Beta. Then they shift to not Deku, as his brain imagines just how many heroes he ruthlessly killed. Because of him. Kachan, open the door! Katsuki flinched, clenching his jaw as Izuku's familiar voice echoes in his ears. It's a dream. A stupid, worthless, fucking dream. It's as if his brain gets a kick out of seeing him suffer. The knocking echoes again, this time much louder than before. Katsuki's eyes blink open at the sound before he slowly sat upright. His head still hurts and his stomach aches, probably from the lack of food he's ingested. Kachan, don't make me break down your door again! And just like that, Katsuki snapped out of his sleepy daze. He's here! He's home! Katsuki scrambles to his feet and bolts for his door, eagerly unlocking it and flinging the damn thing open. A part of him hates how excited and relieved he feels, but he's too caught up in his emotions to care. Izuku is on the other side of the door, and he looks like shit. His wild curls are heavy with a dark substance and his clothes are covered in grime. Izuku's even sporting a few bruises and cuts, but Katsuki is too relieved to care. For now, at least. Before Izuku can say anything, Katsuki yanked the idiot forward and hugged him close. The freckled teen grunts at the action, but he hugs Katsuki back with just as much determination. Their embrace is tight and unrelenting, almost as if they were scared to let go. You idiot, Katsuki muttered, his voice cracking. I hate you. Izuku laughed, burying his face in Katsuki's shoulder. I missed you too. So much. I'm sorry I was gone for so long, Kachan. The blonde swallowed thickly as tears threatened to spill. This is his Deku, not that shitty imposter. His Deku is here, hugging him and pressing gentle kisses on his cheeks. The action made his skin flush. You stink, shit nerd. Let go of me. You first, and you don't exactly smell good either, Kachan. At that, Katsuki said nothing. Izuku hummed, pulling away to study the blonde. His eyes were soft and affectionate as he ran the pad of his thumb along Katsuki's cheek, catching a tear. Please don't cry, Kachan. I will always come back to you, quirk or not. Katsuki scowled, looking away from his concerned boyfriend. Rationally, he knows that Izuku is right. A quirk won't last forever. But he can't shake not Deku from his mind. You weren't there to see other Deku. He wanted to talk to me. He promised to behave if I did, so I agreed. Like a fucking idiot. His boyfriend paled. You did what? The blonde swallowed thickly as his heart panged in his chest. He was too much of a danger to risk that. He almost took out Hawks. Kachan, Izuku breathed, studying his face. Are you okay? Katsuki clenched his jaw, trying to keep himself from bursting into tears. He's so relieved to see the real Izuku, but he can't stop himself from thinking about not Izuku. I'll be fine, nerd. I'm just really glad that you're home. Izuku hummed, clearly not believing him. Instead of calling him out, though, The freckled teen leans forward and places a gentle kiss on Katsuki's lips. The blonde reacts immediately, his skin flushing from the affectionate action. It feels liberating and comforting when Izuku holds him like this, but he'll never admit that out loud. His boyfriend pulls away, resting his forehead on Katsuki's. Let's go take a bath. Then we'll eat and cuddle on your bed. Sound good, Katchan? Katsuki felt a shy smile tug at his lips. Lead the way, dork.